What do you get when you push all the boundaries in sim racing? You get something that looks like it belongs in a real F1 car. What you're looking at is the VPG VPF1 Pro, and it is the most stunning Formula 1 sim racing wheel you will ever see. I've had the opportunity to test and use this thing, and I spent more time just staring at it out of sheer wonder that this is something that you're able to actually use at home on your sim racing rig. In today's video, let's go over this amazing wheel and then let's go for a drive.
So first impressions then of the VPG VPF1 Pro. Honestly, the first thing that you'll notice about this is that it looks like a real F1 wheel. Genuinely, this thing looks absolutely bonkers. Now, the body is made of aluminium and it is smooth and beautiful. It's got these lovely rubber molded grips, which are an awesome material. And the shape of the thing, when it comes to holding it, feels so natural, which would make sense given that the design of this was actually contributed by Lewis Hamilton. So he actually helped to create this shape of wheel, which Mercedes still use till today.
Now, before I hear any of you scream, it's not carbon fiber, that's actually an option with VPG. So they can actually have this thing finished in carbon, and boy, does it look good.
The screen is a Vocore screen. It's a 4.3-inch touchscreen that looks really high quality. It's really crisp and easy to read when you're driving with this wheel.
To power the screen, it comes with an industrial grade M12 connection and coiled USB cable, which you connect to your computer and you use SimHub to run.
The rotary encoders on the front and on the side, they're all metal, and the action of actually twizzling them is extremely satisfying. The buttons are also really lovely to press. The tactile feedback there is quite satisfying. It's not just the crisp on off, but there's a little bit of give and then you get that click, so you know that you've definitely pressed something that will give you a corresponding action. Now, looking at the back, we've got these forged carbon fiber paddles and they're magnetic shifters, and the shift action is lovely. The clutch is very precise and really awesome. Overall, from a first impressions point of view, this thing looks absolutely astonishing. I feel like it doesn't belong on a sim racing rig. It feels like it should be in a real car or in a display case. I mean, if you bought this just to be displayed as an F1 fan, honestly, that would be okay.
While that might be okay for the F1 scene in general, for us sim racers, we are all about racing. Now, the amazing thing about this is when you hold it, the build quality feels ridiculous. There is not a creak, there is no shifting, this thing is immaculate. The buttons that you can see there are actually automotive grade, meaning that some of the button and the switches and the feeling is something that you actually get in a real race car. Now, having buttons that you find in a real race car in a fully aluminium body does not come cheap. If you want to get your hands on the VPG VPF1 Pro, you're going to have to part with around £2,000, which is a lot of money for most people. But this is amazing, and this is the most exciting thing about sim racing, is that you can get something like this that you can play at home and feel fully immersed. And the immersive, amazing thing about this wheel is that those buttons that you can see in front of you are actually found on the real Mercedes wheel. When I got this wheel, I was a bit overwhelmed and didn't really know what I was doing. So before we go for a drive, I'm going to take you through the features of each button on this wheel and what they do in the real F1 car.
On the front, starting from the left, we have our DRS button here. +10 and +1. These are ways of actually changing different metrics on this wheel or actually entering codes. Neutral, that's for neutral. And on this side, we've got pit. So this is the pit speed limiter, which essentially applies an artificial limit to how fast you can go down the pit lane. The PC there is pit confirm. Essentially, if somebody wants to come in and they don't want everyone to know on the radio, you can press pit confirm, and that will mean you'll be boxing that lap. Coming to the rotary encoders up here, we have got entry and we have got high speed. Now, most F1 cars have got entry, high speed and mid, and these are diff settings. Essentially, the degree to which your back wheels can rotate independently depending on where you are in your corner, either the entry, the exit, or in the middle. You've got brake migration here. You've got brake balance here. This button is mark, and this essentially lets you mark something that's happened. So if you're driving along and there's a weird vibration, or you want to remember something that's happened in that lap, you hit mark and you can go back and look at your telemetry later and you can see exactly where that was happening. You've got ACS here, this is the race start mode. We've got BW here, which is brake magic. Now, Lewis Hamilton famously hit this button by accident in Baku a couple of years ago, which led to him flying off the track in dramatic fashion. Essentially, in the real F1 car, this causes the brake bias to go all the way to the front, so that you can actually heat up the front tires from the brake heat. You've got torque here, which means you can talk to your engineer. You've got brake balance minus and brake balance plus. These make big changes compared to the brake balance rotary encoder up here. Now down here, we've got different strap buttons. Essentially, these are different ways of changing your engine modes, your braking curves, the amount of engine braking you need, and your hybrid system. Now there is a missing sticker here. Don't mind that. On all the VPG wheels you get, that one will be there. It's just not on my one. Now moving to the back, you have got these lovely carbon forged paddle shifters, which is pretty self-explanatory. This one goes up, this one goes down, and then you've got these two clutch paddles. Now you've also got these two buttons here at the top, and depending on what team you are, who you are, some F1 drivers will use this for DRS. You might use this as an overtake button to give you a bit of boost of electric power. And yeah, this thing just looks bloody amazing.
Okay, let's go for a lap in the Mercedes W12 around Bathurst, Mount Panorama, Australia. Despite living here for a little while, I've not actually been there, so maybe this year we'll make it there. But I digress. The VPG VPF1 Pro is meant to look similar to the Mercedes AMG Petronas F1 wheel, and they've done an amazing job at that. The build quality of this thing is absolutely bananas. From the metal to the injection molded grips to the buttons that it uses, it all feels a bit too much for my sim racing rig. Not in an insulting way, but it just doesn't feel like my sim rig is worthy of something this special. Now this is a USB powered wheel, meaning that you've got a USB coming from the wheel that needs to go into your PC for a powered hub so that you can run the screen and the really bright LEDs. The amazing thing about VPG is it's not a huge company. It's just run by two guys, Mike and Manny, who seem absolutely inspired to create such amazing masterpieces. They've got a couple of other wheels, namely a VP GT, which is the Porsche Cup wheel. They've got a Red Bull F1 style wheel, which looks absolutely astonishing too. Now to talk about the downsides of this wheel. Well, one, your pockets will be literally empty, and two, there are no other downsides. It literally feels like the perfect wheel. It's the perfect size, it's extremely high quality, the build quality is second to none, and the communication you get with Manny and Mike would be amazing. Honestly, you can do no wrong by having such a thing, and as I said, if you're just into Formula 1 and you don't like driving, well, you've got an almost perfect replica there that you can have. This is only the first of many adventures that I'm going to be taking you guys on using this wheel. The next one, we're going to be using it with the VRC Alpha F1 car, changing all the different settings and making our experience as realistic as possible. Now the question is, should you buy this wheel? And the answer to that question is the easiest yes that I have ever imagined. Now this thing is special. It's art meeting technology, and it helps us as sim racing enthusiasts feel like we're connected to the car in a way that you can't imagine. Thanks again to VPG for sending this wheel out, and I'm so excited to take you guys on a journey using this to do some Formula 1 stuff in the future. Now if you're looking to purchase one of these, head to the link down in my description or quote the car doc when you speak to VPG. Till next time guys, see you later.